I'll take a life if I must, but I take no joy in it. Assassins and thieves who wrap their deeds in fancy oaths and guild trappings have no honor. Murder is murder, and taking things you've no right to is wrong in my view.
Hey guys, welcome to the Reach, Land of Sadness, currently under invasion by a group of vampires known as the Grey Host. That's why I'm here. I'm with the Ravenwatch. Well, kind of. Verandis says he's taking a big chance on me, whatever that means. That's Verandis right behind me. He's the head of the Ravenwatch. The Ravenwatch is a group of vampires that keep other vampires from getting out of control. This vampire army thing in the Reach shouldn't be happening, but it is. My boss Verandis has an unwavering moral compass, admirable but annoying. Meeting his expectations can be tough. That's why Bastian here is my companion of choice. Like Verandis, he always does the right thing. When I start to lose my way, he points me in the right direction. So yeah, I'm a vampire. You probably figured that out. But don't worry, I'm not going to feed on you guys. I haven't slipped up in a while. So feel free to come along and check out my new bow build. Nightblade is my main class, and I'm subclassing into Arcanist and Warden. If that sounds good to you guys, let's get going.
Unnatural witch storms. Nothing but Reach stories, mark my words.
I don't think we're the first to camp here. Lots of fresh tracks.
Get some rest. The gods will watch over us.
What's the green stuff between a dragon's toes? Slow goblins.
My friend Bastian here is a real comedian, but seriously folks, this is a terrible place to camp. Everybody's seen the videos about camping in the Reach for free. It's a bad idea. This is what they don't show you in those videos.
Summon a dozen more!
Bastian, you see that handkerchief we got from that boss? I think it's real silk. Treasure. Smells good, but tastes underwhelming. I want to go over my character sheet before we go any further. My character is a Dark Elf, and they're a great choice for damage dealer characters. They're equally good as Magicka or Stamina DPS. High Elves do slightly better as Magicka DPS. Dark Elves have bonuses to max Magicka and Stamina and weapon and spell damage. But these bonuses contribute only slightly to overall damage, so I'm still going to recommend that you play the race you find the most interesting. I have all 64 attribute points in Stamina, and that leaves me with 18,000 points of health and 31,000 points of Stamina when I'm using lava foot soup and salt rice as my buff food. In the fight you just saw part of, I used a Orzorga's Tripe Trifle Pocket, which trades Stamina for more health. I also swapped my mythic item to the Ring of the Pale Order. This is a great item for doing more difficult content solo. If you don't have this, work on getting it. You won't regret the time invested. I have 4,500 points of weapon damage and 62% critical chance, and those go up in combat. My stamina recovery is just shy of 1,600, and I have 700 points of Magicka recovery. This build does require a certain amount of Magicka recovery, and I'll show you one way I get it in the skill section. Penetration on the static character sheet is almost 6,000, and that's plenty. If I was only ever going to run solo, or I was doing a PvP build, I'd look at investing more in penetration. But for group content, those resources will end up being wasted. I don't go over resistances because as a DPS, part of the goal is to not get hit. Okay, that's it for the character sheet. Let's move on.
Did you need something?
Yeah, pull that lever. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Always ready to help.
Wow. You're the last person I expected to see down here. But you have impeccable timing. Juice is in trouble. You remember her, right? One of the vampires of the Ravenwatch. From Rivenspire? Anyway, she entered Greymore Keep and hasn't returned.
Gwendis needs my help with a rescue mission, and I'm okay with that, because she's close to Verandis. Helping Gwendis rescue Adusa from this castle should get me in good with him, hopefully. The vibes coming from Greymore Keep are bad. It feels like remorse and smells like Bastian's socks, but we're going in anyway. Before we go any further, I want to go over my skills. Now, I actually ran several different versions of the build, so if you're seeing some other variants in the gameplay, that's why. But they all use the same 3 skill lines, and the skill setups are almost identical. I'm going to give you the skills from my favorite version. Running this is fairly straightforward, but the gear may be a little difficult to get. So at the end of the gear section, I'll talk about a version of the build that's slightly easier to put together. I have a bow on both bars, and I'm going to start on the back bar and go in the order of my rotation, which is basically a static rotation. The skill lines I'm using are Assassination, Herald of the Tome, and Animal Companions. Starting on the back bar, the first skill I use is the Arcanist skill Inspired Scholarship. This skill gives me major brutality and sorcery and does damage as I use my class skills, and gives me a crux if I don't already have one. That crux is important, and I'm going to use it on my other bar. The next skill I use is the Warden skill Deep Fissure. This causes shock to surface in front of me, doing magic damage to any enemies in the area. The shock will also apply major and minor breach to enemies, reducing their resistance by almost 9,000 points. Now I use the Scribe skill Bloody Contingency. This does instant bleed damage and bleed damage over time. More importantly though, this is how I'm getting the minor force buff, which increases my critical damage by 10%. I have to be fairly close when this delayed action skill goes off, so when I use the next skill I want to do that at close range. The next skill is Endless Hail, which is from the bow skill line. Endless Hail does a lot of damage to enemies in its area of effect, but it also increases my weapon damage if the bow has the infused trait and a weapon damage clip, provided it continues to damage enemies in its area of effect. I have 2 skills left on this bar. The first is my familiar self-heal, Resolving Vigor. This comes from the Assault skill line, and you'll have to do a little PvP to get it. Actually, you can just do the PvP tutorial and you'll be able to unlock this skill without doing any real PvP. The last skill on this bar is the Ice Comet from the Mages Guild skill line. This is a strong ultimate that damages the target and enemies near it, but leveling the Mages Guild skill line can be a pain. It involves finding lore books all over Tamriel, and it's probably the most tedious grind in the game. If you don't have the Mages Guild skill line level, just run the Arcanist skill Tide King's Gaze here. Okay, that's it for the back bar. Let's go to my main or front bar. The first skill I use on this bar is the Warden skill Growing Swarm. This skill causes Fetcher Flies to do bleed damage over time to the target. Enemies near the target also take bleed damage. After that I use the Arcanist skill Tentacular Dread. Tentacles lash out in a conal attack in front of my character, doing frost damage and consuming the crux I've generated. Consuming this crux activates the Fated Fortune passive, increasing critical damage by 12%. Now I'm ready to use my spammable attack, and that's the Scribe skill Sundering Soul. My version of Sundering Soul does physical damage and applies Major Breach to the enemy. Major Breach is redundant when I'm doing my full rotation, but it comes in handy when I'm doing overland content or questing, where I sometimes stay on this bar. Also, I'm using the Nightblade class script to restore magicka and stamina or increase crit chance against low health targets. Because this is a soul magic skill, it has an interaction with the gear I'm wearing, and I'll talk about that in the gear section. I use Sundering Soul 7 times, then I use Tentacular Dread again, and then I use Sundering Soul 7 more times. That would be it for the rotation, except it's not. I have Relentless Focus slotted, and that's going to be charged every time I use a light attack. After 4 light attacks, I can fire a spectral arrow doing high damage. Whenever this attack is ready, I'll use it. Okay, now you know the whole rotation. I have the Warden skill Bird of Prey slotted for the Advanced Species passive, which increases my critical damage by 5% for each Animal Companion skill on my bar. I have 2 here, so that's 10%. Bird of Prey can also give me a speed boost when I need it, and it gives me minor berserk just for having it slotted. The last skill on this bar is the Nightblade Ultimate Soul Harvest. This does magic damage and increases my overall damage by 20% for 8 seconds if I use it. The real reason it's here though is because it gives me 10 ultimate anytime I kill an enemy. Okay, you've seen all the skills, so let's see them in action.
wounded. I need some help.
Take it easy, it's over. So the build did 78,000 points of damage in this simple boss fight. I did something new here and let Bastian tank this one. That helps out when Nightblade is one of the subclasses because a lot of the Nightblade's damage depends on being able to flank enemies. Relentless Focus did more damage than anything else here, and that's the new morph for those wanting to fire the spectral bow. And for those that don't, there's no morph because the skill doesn't stack weapon damage anymore, unfortunately. Sundering Soul did good damage for a skill that I scribed together. The reason I'm using that is because I'm wearing the new Black Gem Monstrosity monster helmet. Soul magic skills activate this set and allow my light attacks to fire a high damage projectile once every 6 seconds. You can see the damage from Black Gem Monstrosity near the top of the list, and that actually outdoes the Selene Monster Helm, but it does limit me to a Scribe Soul Magic skill as my spammable. Okay, let's move on.
Can anyone spare a healing potion?
Hold him still.
Whatever he's doing is getting to me. Shut him up! Dwarven lungs are tricky even without all the howling. But I got it. Come on.
Walk it off, brother. Let's go.
Sen's bargain. Would you look at it all? I'm no expert on dwarves, but I don't think they built half of this. And these must be the stolen remains Fenorian was telling me about. Never seen this symbol on these urns.
The rescue mission went well, maybe too well. Now Gwendis has me helping her again, and we're going after the Grey Host. She says the remains are in these urns and some mad alchemist is bringing them back to life. Well, anyway, I want to check my gear after that fight. Right at the top, you'll see I'm wearing the Black Gem Monstrosity monster helm, and I mentioned that in the last section. I'd say this is a very niche item, and unless you want to set up a specialized build like this, you can live without it. But if you do want it, you'll have to take it off the final boss of Black Gem Foundry in Veteran mode. If you don't feel like the juice is going to be worth the squeeze on that one, substitute the monster helm of your choice and use the Arcanist skill Writhing Rune Blades as your spammable. I tried that out and it works great. Plus, you avoid the Achilles heel of the Black Gem Monstrosity set, and that's needing soul gems all the time, because that set has more of an appetite for them than the Worm Cult. Going down the list, you can see I'm wearing the 5-piece Order's Wrath set, and that comes from the High Isle. This is still the most powerful crafted set. More powerful than the next set I'm wearing, and that's the Tideborn Wildstalker set. Tideborn Wildstalker does a great job amplifying direct damage, but for it to work well, I need to pair it with something with a little crit, and that's where Order's Wrath comes in. I've got a precise Tideborn bow on my front bar, and on my back bar I have the Maelstrom's Perfected Bow. Try to get that or the normal version if you don't already have it. The ramping damage of this weapon is very strong. It's in the infused trait and has a weapon damage glyph on it. That works with the volley skill to increase my weapon damage as long as an enemy remains standing in the AoE. The jewelry here is all bloodthirsty with weapon damage glyphs, and my armor is all medium with stamina chance except for one light piece. Alright, that's it for the gear. If you want to look at it again, all the information on the character appears at the end of the video. Let's take a quick look at champion points. The blue champion points on this one are Deadly Aim, Wrathful Strikes, Master at Arms, and Fighting Finesse, and that's pretty typical for a setup where there's a lot of direct damage. What is that thing? We gotta get back to Verandis and tell him about this. Hey, as soon as your gear's dry, we got... Whoa, look at the artwork on you. Who'd have thought? Get out in the wilderness on an adventure and there's no telling what you'll find. The ruins of the Dwemer civilization buried deep underground, vampire castles shrouded in eternal darkness, and Bastian's tattoos. Well guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and hit the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. There was a fashion show and a fight at the end, followed by a clip from the Superstar add-on showing this build at a glance. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day and enjoy your adventures in Tamriel.
Die, villain! I'm getting my ass kicked!
Yeah, my friend. Was your hunt successful?
Sure was.
You couldn't have timed your arrival any better. Ardkadak holds court as we speak. We'll never have a better chance to gain an audience with him. Did your investigation uncover anything we can use? What did you learn?
I learned that Bastian has some wild tattoos. Check it out. Would you have guessed in a million years?